Hi guys, it's Lynn with Katie Lynn's Creations. I had a bad week last week and didn't get a video done, so we're trying for this week. So if you like the content, subscribe and like, and here we go. This is a project I was doing for my niece and I messed it up, and then I tried to video it and I had too much on my phone. So here we go. We are gonna do a shirt for my niece. So bear with me, I'm doing this myself. So we are gonna do over here. I like to iron the shirt really well, and then I am going to turn it inside out, and then I'm going to put my backing on. And I also like the spray. It does get over time it'll gum up your needle, but I prefer doing it this way, my preference. All right, and then I'm actually going to fold this in half so that I kind of know where the center is. And we are going it this way, and I'm going to spray it lightly with the basting adhesive spray for embroidery and quilting. Over and I'll line that up with the center of the collar. Just smooth it on. Turn the shirt back inside out. Make sure everything's pulled out so you can kind of see your places when you're going to hoop it. There we go. And then I always do like to do a finishing iron once I've got it on there. Makes it a little bit nice and crisp there. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold this in half. Line this up. Seams with seams. Up top there. Okay, then I press that down. That also gives me a center point. Just do some hand creasing there for when you're going to hoop it. There you go. A little bit of a center line shows you where to hoop it. So let's go over to the area where I have my hoops. But if you'd like, this is my long arm quilting machine that I have. My puppy's down there. That's Sandy girl. Sandy girl. Sandy. Say hello. All right. And my big embroidery machine's over there. And then I have a single needle right there. There's my regular sewing machine. And then we go over here, have a few obstacles. Cause you know, it's a good thing I'm single because I'll take up my whole house with all my sewing stuff. All right, so here we go. Here's our hooping area. Here's our hoop. And I always want to make sure this is down where I can get to it so that I can loosen it up a little bit. Make sure those are up at the top. I always mark my hoops so that I can figure out the center anytime I'm trying to do something. That's my preference. All right. So let's go ahead and stick this under here. And then I just take this and line this up with my mark here that I have. And I want this collar to be up, excuse me, up a little bit. So that when I hoop it, it's kind of just right above there. Let's give me a little bit more space. And I'm using cutaway because you want to use cutaways with stretchy fabrics. I'm going to check here and see that this is lined up. Move that way just a tad. Fall brings out all the allergies. Alright. So, we just have it there, and then when you go here, you're going to line this up with that line. See the collar's right there, so then I just lightly push down here, and I'm going to hold here. And this is lined up very nicely. Sometimes you just shift it a little bit, push down. Pull just a little bit to make sure it's nice and tight. You want your, try not to pull too much because you want to be really careful about stretching your garments. Okay, and then I'm going to go tighten the hoop inside here a little bit. Push that bracket up around that hoop, make sure it's up in there nicely. Alright, there we go. It is hooped, and you can see that you kind of want this to be in the center. Let's see here. Alright, so you can kind of see that this kind of lines up somewhat in the center of this sleeve area a little bit. So that kind of can help you lining your t-shirt for a front design there. And then one of the things that I learned that you want to make sure that it sounds like a drum. That way you know it's tight enough. Pull. Okay. And we are going to need some topping, which is called water soluble stabilizer. Solvay is what I use. There are other ones out there, but this is a Joann's, and I use a 40% off coupon here in the United States. So, nice little roll. There we go. So now, we are going to take our design and our shirt over to the machine. Here we go. Coming in. Do-do-do-do-do. Getting through everything. Downfall is these brackets here get in the way of everything. So, then I have a light to hopefully help everybody see. And then here, you want to make sure that your hand's in here. And, of course, make sure your sides are down when you are putting in these, because they can put holes in your shirts if you don't or aren't careful. So, these lift up. These little things lift up, so when you're pushing in, they pull up and get it locked in there. Make sure that shirt's out of the way and lock it in nicely. All right. Make sure nothing is underneath here. Okay. I want to check my bobbin to make sure I have enough thread. Always make sure your little curly Q is in. It's going to be close. Might be able to do it, might not. Okay. And something that I recommend that you can do, you always listen for the popping of it going in there. So, all right, so let's go over to our computer. All right, so I've already loaded the design, but you're gonna go to the flower thing, because this is our memory. And where is it? Select it, it highlights it, press OK. Oh wait. Got to make sure that you're out of your embroidery mode. So I have to make sure I'm off. So I am now off. Then you can go in and load the design. I forget that sometimes. Press OK. Okay, so there's my design. We got to go in here and we're going to pick B hoop. It's going to check here on sizing. Loading the design. All right. There we go. Then we are going to go exit or OK. We're going to go start set, embroidery mode on. It does the check with the laser to make sure it's going to fit into the pattern, into the frame. And there's your center point. And let's see. I do want to move this up just a little bit. Oop, wrong way. So I'm going to move it up just a tad to where I want it to be, okay? And then I am just going to do run again, just to, always the trace is a big plus so that you know that you are not going to hit your hoop, okay? That shows you there. If you want to do a embroidery float, should float here, and it'll kind of float you through to the design. It's on my first needle. Taking me up to the top of the crown. It never hurts to try more than once to make sure that you're sure about where you want your design. All right, so everything is ready to go. We need to check threads because it's a one color thing. This is actually a two design, so you can make the crown one color. And I created this design for my niece, so I did this on Sew What Pro. It was about a $65 program, and then just letters that I purchased off of Etsy. And so I want all at one color, so we've got that already programmed because I've done the design. Press OK, OK, and then we're gonna go embroidery. Oops, I don't want to cancel that, sorry. So the green light tells me it is ready to go. So we need to come over here And I forgot my solving. So we want to put this up here. You can tape it down if you'd like. A little bit of tape so that it doesn't move around on you. Put it right there. Oops. So you can just tape that right there. And I'm not going to tape that side. And I like to save my scraps because you can use them on different designs. I am just using painter's tape right now because it's not like super sticky and doesn't leave a residue. Alright. So we are ready to start. Here we go. And I have my speed set at about 770. It will go faster than that, but I did watch a video from a lady who is a professional embroidery trainer, and she had run a factory business for several years and is now training people. And she recommended that even though your machines can go fast, to run your designs about 750, 850, because when you get up to the $100, 1,000 speeds, sometimes you have more issues with breaking of threads and stuff. So then you're really stopping your machine more and more. So I'm trying it out and going at lowers, and she said that for ball caps, you always run about 650. She did really well with that. A very interesting lady. You know, and then our stabilizer, you know, you always use a cutaway stabilizer for stretchy materials, and then your tearaway, you want to use that for woven threads like your cotton, and sometimes you may want to use a good quality, because if it's not a good quality, then you're going to have lots of issues with it tearing on the back while you're doing your design and stuff like that. And I also heard that you know, your needles do get sticky from the spray, but if you use a titanium needle, it does not build up as fast. Hopefully the light on that is good. Let me see if I can get a little better. Right. Well, I hope everybody has been enjoying some cooler weather here in Texas. It has started to cool off in the evenings, which has been wonderful. Since the last 2 weeks of my regular full-time job of dental hygiene has been very stressful. It's been nice to be able to come home and sit outside, so I hope you are in an area where you can enjoy some nice weather. But Texas, you never know. It can be warm one day and chilly, never really super cold here. I grew up in Nebraska, and we had lots of snow sometimes. I don't miss the work that goes with snow. I miss the beauty of snow because we don't get it here very often. All right. Also, I am going to be working on trying to embroider this doll shirt on here, and then that will be coming up in the future. And then I found these cute little bags at our Hobby Lobby here in the US, which then I am going to actually maybe put a name on there or something and use the shoe bars and see if I can figure out how to do that. So those are upcoming videos. And I know that some of us have different computers. Some have a little bit newer version and stuff. They do have the same buttons, but they're just a little bit different. So if you will just look for that particular icon, you might be able to figure out how to use your machine along with what I'm doing. There are just so many projects in my head sometimes that I get overwhelmed because I want to do them all, and sometimes you need to prioritize your items. And so, you know, figure out a list and sit down and figure out which ones that you would like to do first, and then work on them that way, because sometimes it can be overwhelming. All right, I do have a space right here. Please be careful when you mess with the needles, because they can get you. Oh, and another tip is I had the lady that did the course was saying that you need to try and stick with the same kind of thread. So if you use a poly thread, you need to try and stick with that, because poly thread and rayon thread have different tensions. And so then you're going to be adjusting your machine off and on. So if you stick with one thread, that will help. Now if you have a customer that's like, oh, I gotta have rayon, then you could use that. Also, one thing about rayon, it does fade and bleed. The poly stays brighter and does not do that. Sorry, trying to get this all covered because we're going to have an E in that little small period. You want to make sure you definitely have your solving under there. That's the downfall of trying to scrap things together and being a penny pincher like myself. Oops, sorry. And you can see how some of the design is done. That's showing you what's left to sew yet. And of course, your stitches are right here. This is what we got going. This tells us that is needle 1. And your access is at 100, which you want that when you're doing that. Now when you're doing caps, it'll be different. 18,000 stitches down out of 20,525 stitches. We're almost done. How exciting. Woo-hoo! I always love the way embroidery just comes alive, you know, the more you watch it. So it's so much fun. I just love all these crafty things that we can do. Some of the in the hoop designs where you can make bibs and don't have to do any sewing are really cool. There are hot pads and all kinds of really neat things. And with these bigger machines that are a commercial, we have a lot more options than the single needles and smaller sewing areas. I will say that one of the nice things is that some of the machines here in the US are about $15,000. And I know I did not spend that much on this machine. And so far I'm very happy. Of course, I've had some issues learning. But I think that's with everything. And so I hope that my videos are helping you. We're so close. Yay, we are done. So you lift up this hoop so that these